So, with all the recent buzz around Ezekiel Elliot and possibly going to Cincinnati Bengals, right now, obviously, it's down to 3 different teams. It's down to the Eagles, the Jets, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, they had to ask Zach Taylor about it, right? Because you kind of can't have these hypothetical scenarios and not ask Coach what he thinks about these hypothetical scenarios. So, WCPO's Mike Dreyer asked Bengals head coach Zach Taylor about the report during St. Xavier's High School Sports Stag. He responded, "There's a lot of great players that are available right now," Taylor said. "We like our team where it is right now. It's always funny when things get thrown around. Sometimes it's the first you hear of it. But that's just the way life works." Doesn't really go on anymore and talking about anymore about, the idea of Zeke Elliott joining. And I'll be honest with you, this is another reason why I just don't feel like Cincinnati signs anybody else this offseason. I talked about Taylor Rapp, I talked about Isaiah Wynn, I talked about the possibility of Zeke Elliott. And again, as I say, at the correct price tag, every single player is a yes, right? Because let's say you sign Zeke Elliott to a 1-year, base veteran minimum, $1.08 million deal with incentives that gets him up to $5 million. So you could say, listen, okay, you're going to make $1.08 million, right? That's if you go out there, you play the whole season, there's nothing guaranteed, but as long as you play 17 games, you get paid that much money. But if you hit 1,000 yards, you get an extra $1 million. So now you make $2.08 million. If you get 500 receiving yards, you make another $1 million. If we make the playoffs and you play, let's say 1 or 2 playoff games, you make another $1 million. If we make a Super Bowl and you play the Super Bowl, you make another $1 million. And then they could also put in there, like if you play at least 80% of the snaps, then you make another $1 million. So, incentive-based, meaning like, again, if the player wants it, it's more or less like, it is like a prove-it deal, but it's like an extreme scenario prove-it deal. Where instead of it being a prove-it deal in the aspect of like the player, is taking a smaller contract and then proving himself, this is all based on, betting on yourself. And for a player like Zeke, who is going to be 28 years old going into this next upcoming year, it really is his best bet right now. The Eagles are probably not going to go sign Zeke Elliott. The Jets are probably not interested either, with them having Breece Hall and, working the whole Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes on, right? So, with that being said, I think this might be the best thing Zeke is going to get. And to be honest, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. But again, like I said, I do agree with Coach here when he just says, listen, there's a lot of great players out there. They hit free agency all the time. There's always going to be connections because the Bengals are the best team in the NFL. And they're a Super Bowl team, and they're a Super Bowl running team. Not a Super Bowl winning team, but a Super Bowl competition every single year. So there's always going to be talks about possible this, possible that. But at the end of the day, you know what? They're going to just put the best roster they can out there and play the best football. And it is what it is, right? I've talked about before, and I actually made a video yesterday. I want to go ahead and correct myself a little bit. I talked about possible backup quarterbacks. I talked about Teddy Bridgewater, obviously, an option, and a couple other options. But maybe, again, like I said before, it's very possible Cincinnati has their man on the roster already. And the guy I'm talking about, of course, has to be the Jake Browning. So if you guys not know who Jake Browning is, Jake Browning is a quarterback that has been kind of on the practice squad / active roster. All last season, he was on the practice squad. Then he got promoted to the active roster, as you guys can see right here. On 123, he was practice squad. 123, he actually joined the active. He joined the active roster. So he's like, he's on and off again, right? He was waived. He was first off started off in Minnesota. Then he was waived. Then he was practice squad. Then he was free agent. Then he was waived. Then he was, going back and forth. Then he went to Cincinnati. Cincinnati activated him, practice squad him, activated him, practice squad him. waived him, got rid of him, press squatted him, activated him. A million different things. But he does know the Cincinnati Bengals offense. He does. He played pretty good last year in the preseason, and he's going to play this year in the preseason. So if he has a good preseason, look to him, and he plays good in the preseason, this could possibly be a player, that they end up keeping, right? Because, first off, he knows the offense, right? He obviously, no other team right now at this moment in time wants him. So he is a guy you have automatically there, right? You don't have to pay Brandon Allen or any other free agent money. So you already have him on league minimum. And he could just be a nice little option to have at backing up Burrow. Now again, he has never taken an NFL snap outside the preseason. That's the problem. But, again, he knows Callahan's offense. And with them bringing him back so many times and waiving him, also bringing him back, they have some faith in him, right? They still think he is somewhat reliable to this team. So it's very possible that Cincinnati just goes into next year with him as a direct backup quarterback to Burrow. I still feel like they get somebody else, maybe a third guy to kind of compete with him in the preseason and maybe see if the other guy can beat him out. But it's very possible that, he ends up becoming the heir apparent to Joe Burrow backup quarterback-wise, right? So, going to be very exciting. Again, I didn't talk about my quarterback video yesterday, so I want to go ahead and bring him up because, definitely has some value to talk about. But with that being said, guys, definitely tell me down below your thoughts and opinions of Zeke Elliott. He's a really good pass blocker, and that's what a lot of people are excited about. And he is kind of going downhill, though. But again, maybe you take Zeke Elliott, you take a pay cut on Mixon, or you cut Mixon all outright, and then you have a running back you draft in the 3rd or 4th round. You have Chris Evans being the 3rd-string guy, and then you kind of go on from there, right? And then Williams, obviously, is a special teamer, so that's not really, impacting your backfield at all. So it's possible. I just don't know how I feel about, Zeke. I'm still on the fence about it, but again, good contract. Instead of base contract, you don't have to worry about any bullcrap going around, any big deal where you're wasting money. If he doesn't perform, don't give him any guarantees. And in my personal opinion, I'd say, hey, Zeke, listen, you're not going to get anything guaranteed because we're going to give you a prove-it deal. And this is either you play amazing this year and you go out there in the open market next year and get a crazy big contract, or you prove it here this year and you play good enough that we bring you back next year on a 3-year deal. That's kind of how we're looking at it. See you guys next one. Peace out.